What's going on, Shield Brothers and Shield Maidens? This is True for Shield Rest, and today we're talking Daggerheart rules, group actions, and tag team roles. So today I wanted to get into this because there was a Daggerheart Reddit post out there kind of asking some questions about it, not really sure how to go about this, and I imagine there are others that kind of have this question, so I felt like it was kind of the perfect opportunity to pull some of this out real quick for you guys. So with group action roles, what you're basically getting is something like D&D, where the whole party had to roll against a particular DC, and if they succeeded, that added +1 to the group's overall total, and if they failed, that added -1 to the overall total, right? And so what you're hoping for is if you have 5 PCs, at least 3 of them are succeeding by comparison to 2 possibly failing. That was kind of what you would get in D&D. With Daggerheart, it's a little bit different. And what essentially happens here is the group nominates a leader to make this role. So let's say it's a sneaking role here, and let's say it's the ranger that is going to be leading this. The other PCs that are involved in this group action role make reaction rolls. So reaction rolls do not generate fear and do not generate hope. Okay? That's the distinct quality of a reaction roll, is they do not generate any of that. What you want to annotate, particularly as the GM, what you want to annotate is whether they succeeded or not. So you want to let the PCs that are helping, and remember, make sure your PCs are getting narrative in this, like how are they helping the group sneak through? What are they doing in particular? Are they doing some tree stuff? Are they crawling through the brush? Are they activating something? What are they doing to help the group sneak? So that way when the leader rolls, they get those pluses and it makes sense. So have them collaborate. How are they doing this together, you know? Maybe they're trying to sneak through a crowd and they're putting a bunch of stuff on and they're trying to go disguises here. Who knows? So with that, once you find the successes and the failures, let's say you have 3 PCs that are doing this, aiding the ranger in this sneak action, and it's all of them doing this together, right? So with the 3 individuals, let's say you have 1 failure and 2 successes. The 2 successes add +1, the failure adds a -1. So overall total being just a +1 to the ranger's roll. The ranger would then roll their duality dice, which does actually generate hope or fear. So keep that in mind. And then they can add those modifiers in there with their trait modifier as well, for whatever it is that they're trying to do here. Caveat on this, if they are trying to do a group action roll and the action tracker is out, mind you, this is 1.5, open beta 1.5, this is not the official rules. When that happens, we'll do some updates, but this is 1.5 at the moment. So if the action tracker is out, the PCs add, each PC, even the ones that are doing the reactions, all 4 of them are going to add in an action token onto that action tracker. So as a GM, make sure you keep that in mind, and as a player, keep that in mind, okay? Particularly during combat, maybe it's not advantageous to do a group action roll. Just saying. Now, if it's basically one person that's doing something, like let's say I'm doing a lift action and I need to use my strength roll here, and you're like, ooh, let me help you out with that, you would spend a hope to give me advantage, and that's the help action. That's different than the group action, okay? Just keep that bit in mind. There's no hope being spent here. There's nothing like that. No stress, no hope, okay? So that's group actions right there. And it doesn't have to be, obviously, for sneaking. It could be a presence check, and like negotiation. Could be acting, whatever the heck. It could be anything. Just have some fun with it, you know? So with one of the questions that was asked was, what happens if a PC that's rolling a reaction roll gets a critical success? What do I do then? Well, funny enough, there's nothing that says one way or the other about what you do with that. So as a GM, have some fun with it. Do what makes sense to you in that moment. Because the reaction roll doesn't generate hope or fear. And so you could take that either way. You could add in another modifier maybe, or maybe that particular PC adds advantage to the roll, and then the rest that just got a normal success add a +1 to the modifier. You could go about it that way. I would say with them getting a critical success, You could go either way with this, whether you want to allow them to get the hope and clear stress, or if you want to say because it's a reaction roll, they don't necessarily get the hope or clear stress, that it's just them granting advantage on the roll. You could go either way with this, okay? So just kind of depends on what you want to do, but again, go with what makes sense to you, and if it's too overpowered, just, dial it back a little bit. Or if it's kind of underwhelming, and let's face it, they got a critical success, that should mean something, maybe dial it up next time, But in either case, just be transparent with your players, saying, you know what, I'm not sure really how to go about this, but this is what I think right now. Let's see how this works. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And then if you have to change later, you change later, and you just, explain why. What changed your mind. So, that's all. That it's kind of a weird moment, so again, go with what makes sense. So now with tag team. Tag team is a little bit different. This tag team role is really fun. So as a player, you have one time per session that you get to use this, and you spend 3 hope to do so, okay? You got to spend 3 hope to do so, and you're basically tag teaming with one other person with whatever it is that you're doing. Because you get it once per session, make it epic, make it fun, make it a worthwhile event, not just a lift, Make it like, okay, you guys are in a dance competition, and you want to make this a tag team role because it's a duet thing, and it's like you and me doing a dance. Like, okay, how are we going to make this cool, or how are we going to make this epic, or are we going to make this more technical? That'll determine whatever the actual trait role is. So whether it's going to be presence, and we're trying to make this really showy and really, kind of cool looking, but not necessarily technically right, if you want to say it like that. But if we wanted to make it more technical, it'd be finesse, that kind of thing. So what happens here is you roll your duality dice, I roll mine, we add in whatever that trait is, whatever our modifier is, and then we can use either roll for both of us. So let's say that you roll a 16 with hope and I roll a 15 with fear. We will obviously go with your 16 with hope, and you take the hope. However, if I rolled with hope and we used my roll, I would get the hope, but you wouldn't, okay? So that'd be the difference there. So with you rolling the 16 with hope, we use your roll. That means it succeeds for the both of us, well, assuming that it is over the DC that the GM sets. That would succeed, you'd gain your hope, and that would be our tag team roll. It's a competition. We had to win that, right? We had to win that. But for if it's, let's say, an attack roll of some kind, you can do this during a fight. That's the cool part here, is you can do this tag team roll during a fight, once per session, spend that 3 hope, same thing, except instead of adding, because the action tracker would most likely be out again, 1.5, instead of adding 2 tokens to the action tracker, you actually only add 1, even though it's both of you taking actions. So that's always cool. And again, narratively enjoy this. I'm just saying, just have some fun with it. But with that roll, let's say, again, you got the 16 with hope, I got the 15 with fear, we're going with your 16 with hope, and that hits and actually makes it above the DC of whatever adversary we are going against. How this works now is you roll damage with your proficiency dice and your weapon, I roll damage with my weapon and my proficiency dice, adding in all the beautiful little modifiers and everything else that are going into this, anything else we can pump into this, because if we're doing this, we're trying to really do this, right? So what then happens is the amount of damage that I roll and the amount of damage that you roll get combined. So love the tag team roll. Make sure you're utilizing it as a player. Make sure to utilize it as a GM. Remind your players that that is a possible option for them. Enjoy that. Have fun with it. Make sure to remind your players. Make sure that you as a player remind your GM that it's an option. All good either way. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Trust me, I want to hear your comments. I want to hear how else I can help out with these videos. Hopefully this gives you some clarity. So let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.